not going to matter how many breaths you took, but how many moments took your breath away. So life is about moments. So moment to moment, we must stay in a space of gratitude, of living in awareness of where we are mindfully living and breathing easy, not taking on too much stress. And when we feel our body stressed, then we must turn to our breath and to bring it into a calm rhythm. So Guruji could not stress enough on the importance of walking with our heads down, looking inwards, hearing no one and seeing no one but him. When we truly learn to deafen ourselves to the sights and sounds of the illusory world, we hear and see the real. By reforming ourselves, we reform the world. And we can achieve that only through the power and the command of faith. You see the body, Anita, and I see the soul. Guruji often said to me, and advocated the importance of never judging anyone. Each one of us has our own equation with Guruji, and only he knows what that equation is. He often stated about certain individuals, yes, as Sangat ne aana hi aana si mere kol. He was bound to come to me in this lifetime. And he has been coming to me in his previous incarnations too. Pehle bhi mere milya hoya mainu. So I'm always stunned, and each time a wondrous incident like that occurs, I hear Guruji in my head, keep watching, Anita. You will keep on getting amazed. Such is your Guru. Sab aange dekhi. Sabne connect hona. He's sure those very people we judge at times inadvertently as superficial socialites often connect to Guruji in a blink of an eye. And Guruji's grace very evidently falls on them. You can see the meher on them. Strangely, but not surprisingly, we found an empty chair next to us while Sanjeev and I chatted about the many blessings of Guruji. From the moment we sat and shared to the moment we rose to take a stroll across the busy and buzzing mall, Guruji seemed to be accompanying us. Of this, we were sure. The next moment was testimony to this, as I met Kumar, another devout Sangat and my Guru brother now. A mere acquaintance then, but now a very staunch Guruji believer and my Guru family. Somewhere in his soul, he was waiting to be taken to the Bari Mandir for an introduction to Guruji. Kamal that day was also strolling in Emporium Mall with his family when I bumped into him, and just out of the blue, without any possible coherence and connection to the conversation we were having, I directed him to seek Guruji's blessings. I suggested that he accompany me to the temple the following day, which was a Monday. I left no room for negotiation and arranged to meet him outside his Makassa farm adjacent to Tivoli Garden at 1 p.m. sharp. Kumar, a distinguished entrepreneur residing in Delhi, has been fiercely social and aggressively hardworking. But no matter how entangled he has been with the worldly affairs, his strongest thread has been his connection with the divine. He immediately agreed and politely replied, I would love to, although I have met Guruji just once a couple of decades ago. But that was it. I never met him again. Maybe this is my bulava, my calling, he responded. Guruji would often state in his cool, casual manner how we ought to get so-and-so person to the temple. Falane nu lekya, unnu lekya. He told me so many people back then, but none of them came except my youngest brother. But there were so many times he would say, I'm not going to name drop, but all the socialites of Delhi, "Unu lekya, unu problem aan waliye, flane nu problem aan waliye." But of course, people were not receptive back then. Like he said, Guru anda naam hi kharab hai. So Guruji had asked Mr. Atul Kapoor, Binni as we know him, to get Kamal, and that is when the two met for the first time. On arriving at the Paramandir the following morning, I looked at Kamal's expression and I observed that it was clearly a jaw-dropping experience for him. It was as if he had found something he had been searching for all his life. Was the search over, I wondered? Or was this the starting point to his journey? Life begins here, I thought to myself. It begins, no matter where we come from, life begins with Guruji. I thought to myself as Kamal gracefully accepted the samosa and chai prasad before he spent a few sacred moments inside the hall in Bade Mandir with Guruji. He closed his eyes and fell silent, chatting telepathically with Guruji for a long time. Of course, Guruji was not in the physical presence, but he was there, like he is today also. He's always there for each one of us, as his energy resides in our homes, in our temples, in our hearts. There was an instant connect with Guruji, a rekindling of a relationship perhaps that had been lost somewhere in some life, coming to fruition in this lifetime. On meeting Guruji, he met God, and that was amply evident. This meeting of ours is your earnings of many lifetimes, and it is never a coincidence, but a calling. I was reminded of Guruji's words to me. Guruji had more than once shown his keenness to visit Kamal's handicrafts emporium located on Meroli Road. But Kamal had not taken any initiative back then, and the thought had faded over time. Seasons came and went as they do, and Guruji discarded his physical garb. Kamal, meanwhile, was not in touch either with Empire State or Bade Mandir until 2011, after Guruji's Mahasamadhi. In March 2011, however, Kamal abruptly asked some of us to visit him at the Emporium to discuss a satsang he planned to hold at his residence. After careful deliberation and discussion, he came to the conclusion that he would like to hold a satsang at the Emporium itself, in its large, lush lawns, thus paving the way for Guruji to grace this occasion just as he had wanted many years earlier. The satsang was truly special and very close to my heart, as it was the first one that I had organized with my cousins, and the Sangat was beaming with joy. Everyone came together. The entire Guru Parivar happily imbibed the Shabad Gurbani, relished the delightful Langar Prasad, and also danced in the open air after the satsang. Guruji's presence was truly palpable, his aura permeating the place and people, while vocalist Siddharth Mohan's melodies filled the air. Back then, Siddharth was also very new to Guruji in the sense, I remember he literally was part of another practice, and he really didn't know who Guruji was until that day. He got darshan of Guruji and then he became a devotee. This was back in 2011. So he was part of Art of Living. So Kamal's wife, Sangeeta, however, was not only absent from the preparations that day, but also arrived at her own leisure much later. But a few months on, they held another satsang at their residence, and a clear shift was immediately visible. Today, Kamal, his wife, Sangeeta, and his children visit the temple regularly, and here is Kamal's story of reconnecting with Guruji in his own words. So I'm going to read Kamal Kumar satsang now. Satsang by Kamal Kumar. Sorry, I need warm water. Anita met me several times in friends' homes, restaurants, and malls, and would always talk endlessly about taking me to Guruji, to the Bari Mandir. I had heard of Guruji from my friends residing in Empire State, and they had mentioned about the revered Mahapurush. My time had not come, though, to be at his lotus feet during that phase of my life, besides one single meeting many moons ago. A friend's wife, Nina, who was at that time living in New York, called me, stating that she needed blessings to have a baby. And I instantly responded, and I don't know why, you come to Delhi. I was not even connected to Guruji. But I said back then, you come to Delhi, and we will go to Guruji. Because I had heard so much about him and about his miracles that he could perform. And I had not even met him personally. But she was meant to meet him through me. When she arrived, we planned to take darshan of Guruji. Nina wanted a photograph of Guruji before seeking his blessings. So I called my dear friend, Bini Kapoor, and asked for one, but he had none. Back then, I guess there were not many sarups that were distributed. We went to the Chota Mandir, as we know it, and we entered the room. We were told to wait for our turn for Langar Prasad. People were eating in the most serene environment, silently, relishing the blessings. It was the most beautiful experience I have ever had. Guruji was sitting there physically, and Mr. Arun Shore was pressing his feet. When our turn came, we ate the most satisfying Langar Prasad. We had already had our dinner, and yet we ate. When we were given a chance to touch Guruji's charan, he smiled at Nina and gesticulated her to speak, but she was speechless. After a while, we were asked to leave. And again, we were asked to go and again touch our forehead on Guruji's charan. And again, he encouraged Nina to speak, but she did not. I, on the other hand, was not encouraged to speak at all. But anyhow, I felt blessed. When we came out, I asked Nina why she did not speak. She said she felt that he knew everything. Her soul connected to him, and telepathically she spoke to him. As we stepped out of the room, we found a man distributing Guruji's photographs. All the devotees who were there exclaimed in excitement, "Wow, we are getting Guruji's photograph. How come?" It was a rare occasion back then. I'm sure that people who left before us did not get his photograph. We had asked Guruji for his photograph, and he gave it to us. Such was Guruji's way of showing his love by fulfilling our very small request. Many years later, I was to experience his abundant blessings again. In the month of November 2011, my son Vedant, studying in Switzerland, sought my permission to go skydiving. I did not want to discourage him or put any fear in him, so I gave him my permission, albeit reluctantly, and prayed to Guruji to protect him. Every time Vedant and I spoke on Skype, I turned the computer around towards Guruji's photograph and asked Vedant to seek his blessings, and he obediently followed my instructions. My uneasiness and fear for his safety kept growing as the day approached, and I kept praying to Guruji to protect him. His skydiving program kept getting delayed, either due to adverse weather conditions or other reasons. That's why they say his delays are not his denials. And when he denies us something, it is actually his protection. Meanwhile, I sent Vedant Guruji's photographs on his mobile, and I also kept urging him to connect with Guruji. Now, during the last week of November, one of his close friends father visited them. They all went to the pub in Montana in a group of 15 to 20 people that evening. At about 3 a.m., a terrible fight took place inside the pub between Vedant's friend and the local boys of that area. The local boys ran away from the pub, and Vedant and a few friends, along with the friend's father, left the pub sometime later and were attacked by the local boys again, but this time outside. My son Vedant is a 6 feet tall, 110 kg boy, but he was brutally hit on his forehead with an iron rod, and he passed out bleeding profusely. He was rushed to the local hospital and had 26 stitches. Other than being severely shaken up, the MRI and other tests showed no other damages. It was my Guruji's kripa, because it was not possible for him to have survived that attack, as it was so violent. And an iron rod hitting your head means, we all know what that means. Vedant was absolutely normal after a few days. Vedant returned to Delhi a few days later, and I took him to Bare Mandir for him to pay his homage to Guruji. He obediently came along with me, but he was skeptical, and this was clear to see. As it was a Monday, we took Guruji's blessing and had chai, samosa, and laddu prasad. And after relishing all this and feeling blessed by him, we went towards Guruji's jhula to bow before it. Just then, the iron jhula began to swing on its own, and Vedant stood aghast. He asked me how this was possible, as no one was touching it. It was warm and there was no breeze, but the swing was just, it was swaying. I told him that he had his reservations and his skepticism about Guruji, and this was his way to reassure him that he is there for all of us. So Jai Guruji, and this is a very important chapter on protection. And the fears that Kamal had about for his son were not unfounded fears. Sometimes our instincts are very strong for our children, and we do fear because they are very exposed, traveling the world, and there are unsavory elements out there. So what we must pray for is protection for our children. It is very important because there are very negative elements, and children can get swayed. And even if they mean well, things happen. So Jai Guruji is a very brief kind of chapter today, but that's all for now. Till tomorrow.